everybody, this is our video on the persimmon tree, Diospyros virginiana, but I call it the fruit of the gods because it's so delicious. And how to identify it, one of the very characteristic features is this blocky bark that is considered dark, and I didn't really know what that meant at first, but Gumby, if you can get a shot of these nice blocky alligator skin looking bark on the persimmon, and then if you were to look at that tree just next door with the poison ivy on it, that's not so dark. So yeah, definitely a contrast there. And the only other tree that Gumby and I can think of, at least in our area, that has similar bark is the dogwood. And that definitely has blocky bark, but I feel like if you're looking for the persimmon, there's other characteristics you can find too, especially the fruit. The fruit is the most exceptional part of the tree, and a lot of times people will tell you that, oh, they don't like persimmons, and it's probably because they were eating an unripe persimmon. This tree definitely teaches humbleness and patience, and the idea that plants and trees and nature in general will give us what we damn well deserve, and if we take too much, we're going to pay a penalty for it. So what I mean by that is the fruit of the persimmon tree is generally the best when it's already on the ground. And this particular tree, you'll find that different persimmon trees, just like humans, they have different personalities. There's different times that they have more fruit falling. You can ask. So I actually came to this tree the other day and asked, and not too many fell, but I'll ask again. And I would just ask this persimmon tree that if you have any fruit that you would like to share, if maybe you could share it with us. I don't see any falling, but if you gently move the branches, sometimes you'll see them plop to the ground.
Well, I find that these trees, since they don't have ears, you got to speak a little louder than that, so I give them a good shake when I ask, but anyway.
Let me get behind you and I'll shake it. So the other thing is, yeah, even if they fall to the ground, they may still not be ripe. So there's this very astringent taste that, God, it'll make your face continue to pucker for ages. Yeah. I don't see any falling. But if you can get a shot of the fruit here. Here's some really small ones.
The lighting's bad. Here we go.
Yeah. So they can get even bigger than this. And they have this cute little, I guess, a calyx on top. It's a pretty little setup there. And the seeds, so the persimmons, I would say, are best just eating them when they're ripe. Some people make persimmon bread, persimmon pudding. I tried that with a Yule Gibbons recipe, and I would say it was okay, but I prefer the taste of persimmons. Here's another one that you'll also find them sometimes like they've just fallen off the tree like this. So for the sake of this video, this one feels really hard, but I'll pick it since it's already fallen off.
And you get to know the persimmon pretty well when you work with it, so I could tell by looking at these that I probably don't want to eat them. They're going to be super astringent, so I just figure these are for the wildlife and not people. Exactly,
and that's the other thing too about these seeds. If you see them in scat, like piles of poop, that's probably a member of the dog family. So this one is really hard. If you were to eat it, it would probably make your mouth turn inside out. But it has the seeds in there, and there's often more than one, and they're often squishy when they're ripe. So this one's a really hard persimmon. The relationship with the dog family, especially foxes, if you have...
There's a member of the dog family right there.
Oh my, and our dog eats persimmons. Like the other day, he and I were just chomping down on persimmons. Like there was almost a fight because we were eating them, just gobbling them up. And I think they are a little bit, I don't know what they do, but I think they move things through.
He's pretending like he doesn't care right now. He's choosing his moment.
I care not. There's another persimmon tree up here, so let's see this one. But yeah, what I was saying about the relationship, if you have a persimmon tree, you probably have foxes in the area. And if you have foxes in the area, you probably have a persimmon tree. They're that closely like in a relationship with each other.
Yeah, we're in North Carolina, so I know that's generally true here.
So yeah, if I ask this persimmon, see how laden it is with fruit, and one just fell and he's going for it.
The race is on.
Yeah. Now this one's a little softer. It's a little squishier. Still might not be super ripe, but see how squishy it is?
Oh, I'm going to predict that that's a puckerer one.
You're going to predict? All right. I'm going to go for it. Here we go.
Oh, damn, whole thing. Commitment.
Good.
Wow.
Yeah, it was super squishy. And like I said, that doesn't always mean it, but yeah. So it's seeds. Here. These are actually, they look a little light. We collected persimmon seeds when we had a big bunch of persimmons, dried them, and then put them in coffee grinders. We had 2 coffee grinders that we broke. These are super hard seeds. So I had a like a commercial grade Vitamix blender. I put the seeds in and it damn near broke that. But we basically pulverized them into a powder. And supposedly persimmon seeds can be a coffee substitute. I would say that the coffee substitute is more like a way to stretch your coffee. If you just mix the powder in with water, it just tastes like powdery hot water.
And if you go for walks in the woods, especially near open fields, you will see these seeds in scats in the middle of the trail. And being in the middle of the trail is a good indicator it's probably of the dog family.
Yeah.
The only thing I tend to confuse those seeds with are the bigger, darker pawpaw seeds, which I find more often in raccoon scat.
Yeah, so these seeds, like I said, you could potentially stretch coffee with the powder. When we were blending them, it had kind of a roasted smell, kind of reminiscent of coffee. Supposedly, you can also make an oil from these seeds, and I'll show you the cut up seeds.
I'm watching you.
Gumby cut this up before we started the video of a seed. And so you can definitely see like the inside does look like it has potential to make oil. We haven't tried it yet. And something else about the seeds before we move on is they can have different shapes in them when you cut them this way. So kind of looks reminiscent of, what did you say? There's like spoon,
fork, and knife, and I can't remember exactly what the different things mean, but I think the knife is like a cold, cold winter, like cutting wind. The spoon means snow, and the fork, I can't remember, maybe just that you're royally forked that winter.
You're forked.
This, well, I'll hand it back over to you. You can describe it.
Yeah, to me, it does look like a spoon. Maybe it got cut into 2. There's a handle, and there's the top. So it is now November of 2020. In Durham, North Carolina, or Bahama. And so maybe if you see this video, you can look up in the future and see what type of winter we've had. But yeah, so the other thing is it's not the greatest time of year to find the leaves, but the leaves are said to have kind of a conspicuous netting of veins that go all the way to the edge. And again, it's really kind of hard to see, but you can see the shape of it.
Can I see underneath?
Sure.
Netting of veins, huh?
Yeah, and let's see. If you're looking at this leaf, for example, see how it has teeth? Like it's real ragged on the edges there. This one doesn't. This is kind of a smooth-edged leaf. So this is from a different tree.
Oh, I'm having trouble picking that up. I can see it with my eye, but the camera's a little tough.
Yeah. And so, yeah, this other small...
Hold on a second.
Oh.
Let me see if I can get a better view of the teeth. It's going out of focus.
Well, I don't think it's... like
well,
this.
Anyway, the teeth are there if you can't see it.
This one on the right is the persimmon. Yeah, so, I also read this morning, and we haven't tried this either, but the leaves, probably in the springtime, not so much now, but you can make a tea out of the leaf, and it has a lot of vitamin C in it. So maybe in the springtime, when the leaves come out, we'll come back and try that. Anything else you want to say, Gumby?
Well, just, when you practice with this, one of the things I look for at this time of year, which is like autumn, winter, when you're most likely to find the persimmons you want to use, the tree has a personality itself. So look at all the fruit on this little thing. Yeah. It's usually on the edge of fields and parks, occasionally deep in the woods, but it just has sort of like so many trees, you start recognizing it by its shape, its growth pattern. So just to throw that in there, look up, look for those little fruit, and then confirm it by the things Teresa just explained to see if it's a persimmon. I don't know too many things in our area that I would confuse a persimmon with.
Yeah, and one other thing is we usually find it growing on the edges of places. It said in one of the guides that it grows in dry areas, and we've seen it right next to rivers and ponds. So if they're like well-drained areas, maybe. But yeah, because they just stick out so much when there's fruit, they tend to be, we see them along the edges of fields, disturbed areas. And they're quite welcome.
And a quick reminder, if it was another fruit, what would look rotten, where they fall on the ground and they just kind of plump and it looks like flies are flying around them, that's when persimmons are delicious. Yeah. If you start practicing with this, sooner or later you're going to make a mistake and get one that's not right, but don't let that discourage you. Your face will pucker like you're going to suck your face right into your mouth, but you'll get over it.
Yeah, and you could like fool a friend and just say, here, try one of these. And
yeah, I would never do that.
Yeah, he did that to me. But yeah, thank you, Persimmon. God, what a beautiful, beautiful being.
Yeah, thank you, Teresa, and the persimmon. And that dog is scrounging right now.